go.
Oh,
it's a nice quick
clip.
Oh, no. If you see something, you're going to miss it. That's why we record whenever we're at a new space. So go ahead and hit that record button, walk around slowly, and help Laura over there listen in. You don't need to keep her in view at all times. Nice slow motions. So, yeah, let's scatter about. I'll be bouncing around with everybody to see what's going on with your devices.
What are you getting? Let me see what you're doing. I'm just videoing you. What are you looking for?
Who knows? Spirit, I guess.
Oh. What are you supposed to be listening to? Like random words that come out. So far, sun came out.
Sun?
Sun?
Oh. Well, she must have had a son.
Yeah.
right, what do you got coming out of yours?
What am I looking for?
So with yours, I thought because of this style of camera that you would actually be hanging out with Renee, and that way, even though this is kind of small to see, I don't always follow up with this in real time. That's why I watch it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you're basically a camera person, and you're supposed to be helping her listen in on her spirit box. So just keep it nice and still. Like the belly shot is usually pretty good, like right where you have it,
Yeah.
like lined up with your belly. So I would say help her out and just kind of get us some really good footage.
She already has one word.
No, I'm going to be bouncing around with everybody, but everybody keeps trying to find me. Everybody be mindful of the vehicle.
Renee already has the word that came through her static was sun. So I'm
I'm the one who heard that.
Oh, you heard that?
Yeah, that was when we turned it on. So it came through like right away.
Okay, all right. So go hang out with Renee.
Yeah, definitely hang out with her. I'm going to
Okay.
catch up here with Shana.
Okay.
All right, Shana, what do we got?
He just wants me to hang out with you. So if I just keep this at my belly level.
Okay. Do you want to switch me? Do you want to switch?
No. Did you bring any Kleenex?
No.
He said that maybe that's the church you're supposed to go eat in.
Yeah.
A lot of noise going on.
Look at the.
He said that sun, I told him he heard the word sun. He said that's the word that I said or something like that.
I heard miniature.
You heard what? Huh?
Miniature.
Oh.
There's definitely something right here because every time I step right here, it picks up
Well,
something.
see, I saw something when I was coming this way.
Is that recording right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What did you see?
It just looks like an outline of a person. You know.
Well, like every time I walk, like right here.
Like right here, it looks like an outline of two kids. Look.
But it's that
Do you see the
oil.
heads? Can you see that out?
Yes.
Looks like two toddlers.
All right, Renee, tell me what you're hearing.
I heard two things.
What'd you get?
Miniature and we heard you.
Miniature is weird. That's kind of a weird term to hear on the radio, isn't it?
That is a weird term to hear on the radio.
And we heard you.
But that's all.
Follow up with Bella and probably Shana one more time, and then I'm going to pull everybody to the back and give us all the answers, so that way you guys can see how this actually works. I like to bring us here because this is one of the most active spaces I've ever been in. So when I say active, nightly basis. There have been nights where I don't get anything, but so far we have some direct answers of things. Bella, nothing coming out of there? Anything like between 25 and 34? Nothing?
What over here? What about over here, Bob?
1.7.
Yeah. So that's not really worth recording. Interesting. All right, I'll give you guys another minute with those, and then I'll wrap it all up.
Here's a kid holding a, like something you would cut wheat down with, a scythe. You know, like one of those knives that you would cut wheat down with.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's
Okay.
this.
Oh, look at that one. Put it back.
That was the kid.
Weesh.
Yeah.
Really well, dude.
Well, got a full view. People around, especially boxes.
Yeah, it's still. Unfortunately, all I got is top here. Yeah, that happens. That's okay.
Okay, here we go. It's been back in 91, but
Anybody know?
you want me to do it?
So, a couple of things I'm excited about. My name was actually heard, so I told some of you already, like, these folks know who I am, and the fact that, you know, my name was actually heard on a spirit box is a good thing. The word son was heard, and there were 3 different sons. We're going to talk about them, but the fact that we heard it right away as soon as we turned Renay's device on, like, that's something promising. It's nothing paranormal just yet, until we actually get something else out of it. No letters came out of the Ouija board device, just so you guys know, but we did get a couple of direct answers, didn't we? So, something about the garden, and wasn't it lovely? So who was asking those questions? So, and then you got a, you think so, or don't you think so? So it was a direct answer, but again, nothing where it's going to be a specific fact about Eliza. And then I believe you two had something as well, didn't you? Did you have
I
something?
had somebody ask me my friend Eliza.
Oh yeah, she heard the name Eliza directly. So
With her, and I just had someone just said twice. Something about the we didn't get the
okay, that's a good thing. Remind me to write that one down. We're going to cover it. So yes, it's relevant. So just so you guys know, what letters are you getting? Well, we have a Z, which is obviously part of Eliza's name. So when I say anagrams with your specific device, one of the first nights we used that, I was so excited because we had EULZIA. So we had all the letters of Eliza's name with an interference of U. So I was excited because, again, the ghosts don't even know how to use this thing yet. So I was kind of like, oh my God, we have her full name right here in front of us. So again, it could be a mixture of things. I am excited about the 23 and 34 were the 2 numbers that we got. I did write them down.
21 as well. I've had 21
Oh yeah, you heard 21
and it
several
came
times.
up on the stop these sweets sign just there.
I want to explain the EMF readings just so you guys know like what that actually looks like. So in your home, if you were to put Bella's device behind your TV set, about 40 to 60 milligauss depending on how many things you have plugged in. We got a 34, which is almost as much as what your TV set puts off in a space with no electricity. So the average for this location is 18 to 22. A microwave running, heating up your food is about 150 to 170. The highest we've ever seen Bella's device go has been in this location at 214 milligauss.
Wow.
That's like putting your head inside the microwave. I will tell you, we left. I'm a guy who has seizures. I'm not playing with that much electricity in the air with a neurological disorder. So we got the hell out of here. When I say that that's a safety device, it's for all of our safety, including mine. So again, I always like to point that out. The next highest I've ever seen was at the St. Augustine Lighthouse. That was 197. So I left that room as well. And when I came back 10 minutes later, same reading, 197. It's like, left again. So with that, let's go through these answers and show you exactly why all of the things, what I'm excited about are exciting things to actually listen for. So, first thing I always do when I break out the tablets, you don't need to huddle around. I will go around the room. I got kind of used to that with COVID, obviously. This is Eliza Lucas Pinckney. I use her maiden name because this is the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. So, yeah, this is why I have you had the initials ELP. The first wife also had the same initials, ELP, which means she had a maiden name that started with the letter L. So we're not using the digital word list generator tonight, but I normally would look for the name Lamb or Lucas, because that's the first and second wife, and that usually determines which Eliza we're dealing with. So 3 different Charleses in this location, 2 different Elizas. So, very interesting piece. This, by the way, this wife, the second one, married Charles at the age of 22, not 21. So I was like, that's why I said close but no cigar. Charles was 45. So creepy to me because I'm close to Chuck's age and my oldest daughter is Eliza's age. So again, a creepy age gap for me to really look at it that way. The mansion. This is the only photograph of the mansion we have. This is fire damage from the Great Fire of 1861. So we did get the word burn, so that one obviously makes sense. This happened on December 11th of 1861. We will often get the numbers 12, 11, and or 61 to go along with it. So we caught burn in real time. Hopefully when I'm doing my spot checks, I'm going to find 2 of those numbers. It's normally how this goes. And I'm not searching for it, I let things happen. So, and then I analyze it afterwards. Every tour in town, if you've taken any other kind of tour, is going to tell you about a great fire. This one in particular, as soon as my tablet wants to start cooperating with me, this is a map of Charleston. You can see that the orange literally went from one side of the peninsula all the way to the other. This was a giant fire that took out the mansion. So why didn't the mansion burn all the way to the ground? It was made of more material than just wood. So again, you have to keep that in mind that the Pinckneys were politicians, and obviously, you know, they had plantations, so they had money. They can afford the extra material that wasn't wood. So the children, who had those questions? Laura, those were yours, right?
Yeah.
So 4 children grand total. So we're going to go through them very briefly. Charles, you already know about, signer of the Constitution. The next child I bring up is Thomas. He fought in the Revolutionary War battle, captured by the British, shot in the left leg. So when we do get things relative to Thomas, we do get terms like left, leg, battle, Camden, you know, any of those relative terms, but we didn't get anything in here tonight. The next child is the one I asked you not to poke the bear with. This is baby George. This is where I was excited about the word son coming up on yours. I'm like, oh, maybe she is going to talk about George tonight. If we poke the bear about George and you ask how many children she had, she will tell you that she had 3 children. In other words, don't ask about George, but I'm going to tell you about George anyway. George died in June of 1747. He was born in June of 1747. So we don't know if he was a few days old or if he was a few weeks old. My guess, based on history, if you were going to name a child, they had to be christened, which is going to take a few weeks. So I'm guessing he was more than just a few days old. The weird thing about George is he doesn't have a headstone or a grave. My theory behind this is that they would have mummified the child and kept him right here in the home, waiting for the mother to pass away so he could be buried with her. Kind of a creepy thing. Don't go home and Google mummied baby, by the way, and not expect a phone call from the government. This was a religious practice. So, that was a joke. Thank you for getting it. So, at any rate, George, it's going to get even more weird when we talk about Eliza's death, but there's one more child. Her name was Harriet. Harriet married Daniel Ory. Why is that important? Ory County is Myrtle Beach. That's 2.5 hours north of here, if you're unfamiliar with South Carolina. It wouldn't have been a 2.5-hour car ride for Eliza. Lots of letter writing between her and her daughter. When we do hear from Harriet, which is very seldom because she did live in Ory County, lots of words around letter writing. Quill, ink, paper, published, those kind of terms will pop up. Eliza's death, so those were yours, right? So she was 70 years old when she passed away in 1793. Thank you for noticing that is a ripe old age in colonial times for a woman to be alive. So, 1793, she was going to Philadelphia, getting treatments for whatever they thought she had. It turned out to be breast cancer. We didn't know what the hell breast cancer was in 1793. We're going based off her medical records. Now, she died in Philly, she's buried in Philly. That should raise 2 questions in the back of your brain. First off, if she's up there, what the hell are we doing down here? I don't take you to actual cemeteries. The reason why? It's minimal activity. People don't hang out near their grave when they're gone, staring at their headstone. They're going to go to their mansions 400 miles away. So that's part of the reason why I bring you to such weird spaces. The other thing is baby George. If my theory is true, they would have transported that child from here all the way to Philadelphia by horse and carriage. That's a long trek for a driver in those days. I don't even want to know how long it would have taken. So just kind of creepy thought process. Who wants to take a guess at who the president was that was the pallbearer at the funeral? 1793. It's good you can't answer. Let me explain. It's George Washington. At his own request, he wanted to pay homage to Eliza for her indigo that helped get the country started. When we got here, I told you, I'm not going to give you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse? And I do that on purpose, subliminally putting George Washington in the back of all of your brains, waiting to see who's going to give it out to me when you guys are out bouncing around, and you all passed with a fail. Notice I gave you all the answers to all the questions except that one. I gave it back to you to give you one more opportunity to try to give me the subliminal answer, and you still passed with a fail. That's a good thing, guys, because I don't want people with spirit boxes just to repeat the same shit that I'm already saying. Otherwise, there's no point. You're cheating the system. So that's why I withhold information on purpose. That's the only word trick I play all night long, I promise, but again, you guys did well. So, the next space we're going to go to, we're going to be going to an alley. So, inside that alley, by the way, those of you with video cameras, if you want to stop, I think you already all have, by the way.
Did you stop?
No.
Into that section.
Where they were sitting?
Did everybody just hear him whistle? He was whistling. I didn't always use the earbuds. So when 3 people have spirit boxes going and all of a sudden you hear that thing going
So there's a bug.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe there's another one. See it? Yeah.
Is it a cockroach?
I don't know what they are. What you ask?
Got the name Riley. That thing showed up your list. Riley, and then it said you messed up.
What is it, Michael?
And
Okay.
So what
It is a cockroach.
there were some seconds.
What do they call them?
You got something going on? No. I don't know what this truck's doing, but we need to go in where she's at. So wait for her. We got another friend?
What do they call them here? Palmetto.
I didn't know what you
Oh, those are the
I didn't know what you saw,
palmettos
so I was like, well, what do you
that I
got?
was telling you that my girlfriend said they fly up against.
Yeah, palmetto
They'll
bug.
fly
Yeah,
on
we
there.
gotta make it cute and fun.
Stick my
don't wanna
turn
call it
off.
something.
There we go. Oh, Palmetto parking. Oh, well. Wonder why they call it that. Uh-oh.
Tell me.
Tell me?
And I'll explain why we're here. So anything crazy on your end before I get started?
It just said tell me.
Well, we're going to tell everybody.
Yeah.
So let's get you on mute if you're not already there. Video cameras, if you want to record in here, by all means get some footage. But we're going to be discussing that little tiny building up there with the crosses on it. Those are not crosses. Those are earthquake bolts. If you don't know what those are, they're basically turnbuckles. So if we have another earthquake, like what we did in 1886, which we have not, by the way, you can turn the turnbuckles, and it's supposed to tighten the building up so it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea. It just doesn't work. So the reason I bring it up is because it's part of the reason why we're here. Those earthquake bolts were the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in because that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. This building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny came here to start her new life. This is what I call a familiar. So in essence, you've seen ghost hunters where they use like a teddy bear to attract a child ghost. This is the same mentality. They use that teddy bear because it's something familiar to a child. It's a toy. This is something Anne Bonny would recognize. We don't have many buildings this old, which is why we stop here. The hope is that she's going to be here at the same time we are, fingers crossed. So, here's how the story goes. The building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. I'll answer for you. Yeah, there's another tour I was walking through here. That's why I wanted to come back here. But anyway, our history actually begins right in the middle of the construction. What's with the motorcycles tonight? Like, I feel like I'm screaming. Like, everywhere. It's probably the same guy following me around.
Or it could just be a motorcycle convention.
It might be. So, 1708. Follow me. There's a lot of twists. You're 40? It's under 20. Welcome to the dramatic ghost story. So anyway, did I say that out loud? I did not. 1708. Please follow me. There's a lot going on with pirate twists and female ladies in pirate lore. So let's get into it. Young lady named Anne Cormac comes here from Ireland. Her name is obviously Anne Cormac. She comes here with her dad and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far? Okay, I told you there's weird twists in this one. The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How mad was she that they had to leave the country by boat because there's no airplanes in 1708? So again, going to you, Mike, please don't piss off your woman. That's not the moral of that part of the story. So she'll kick you out of the country. They land in Georgetown. Dad bought a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to be able to sell anything from the plantation and help keep things afloat. By the way, clapping at a tour is very cheesy and corny, and I will not accept it. It's not one of those things. Like, I'm like, oh, wow, they had a bad time. They're clapping. And then here we call the butthole. Perfect. So, we have an understanding, everybody, just so you know. But anyway, let's take a step backwards to Ireland for just a second. Anne was kind of a badass even back then. So they say she killed a servant when Anne was only 7, 8, 9 years old, remember it's pirate lore, with a knife to the belly. We have had the terms knife, servant, and belly all show up in the same evening. I know you had stomach pain earlier, but that was way back over by Pinckney Mansion. So, fast forward, the building's done in 13. By 1715, pirates are starting to stroll through Charlestown. Anne is stoked. Why? She's going to fall in love so she can earn her freedom, just like a man. So, first guy she's going to fall in love with. Yes, I said first because we're going to go through them, and there's a handful. James Bonny. You already see where this one's going. Dad didn't approve. He's a filthy pirate. They ran away to Jamaica. They got married, and Cormac is now Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. That's where the name comes from. However, when she gets down to Jamaica and gets married, she realizes that James Bonny is not Captain Jack Sparrow like what she was hoping for.
Oh.
This guy turns out to be a privateer. He's a spy for the British. This is not who she wants. He's a coward. So she falls in love again a few years later. This is John Rackham, but they call him Calico Jack. We're going to call him Jack through the rest of the story because there's a lot of J names in this. Jack has his own... Oh, by the way, this is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character. So, again, this is just so you know who we're talking about for the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. He has his own crew and his own pirate ship and wants to be part of that crew. You can't put a girl on a pirate crew because it's bad luck. So, he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like my crew, you can be part of it. But you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this. Why? Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. She gets it. It's a man's world. She's a pirate. She's good. But most of us are adults here. Let's put two and two together. She's a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to know that he let a girl on the ship. So before she starts the show, he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby here, come back later, and we'll figure it out later. So she goes and has the baby, returns with no child. No amount of my research has ever found what has happened to this baby. But she comes back dressed as a female. This makes Jack angry. And while she was gone giving birth, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting because that's who Anne is. We're on guy number 3, in case you lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy, to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack captured. Now we have 2 females on the same ship trying to be pirates. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers. We're not going to really know for sure. But the British found out where they are. They send a fleet of ships to come take down one measly pirate ship. The rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with 1 bullet flintlocks. That's obviously not going to take on a fleet of ships, and it's probably only because they don't know how to use the cannons yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. They get arrested. As they're being arrested, Anne looks at her beau and captain, Calico Jack, and she says, "Jack, I'm so sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't have to be hanged like a dog." The word dog is very prominent here, just so you know. And whenever I say that quote, that's why I stumbled, because hanged has the apostrophe over the E. Like, there's no E. So I'm, like, in my head trying to get it right, and I'm like, there's that hanged part. But anyway, that's why I stumbled. You kind of looked at me funny, like, what the hell is he trying to say over there? But the word dog is obviously a big deal at this location. The judge wants to see the two men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight. So Ann and Mary go in front. It's their turn. They reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. He doesn't care that they're female. He's still going to hang them because they're still pirates. We plead our bellies was the last thing they shouted, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. He sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Ann. She comes home, remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're going to count married. We don't really know. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84.
Wow.
Again, very abrupt. Yeah, very old. I mean, we talked about how old Eliza was at 70, and Bonnie is said to be 84. Now, we don't know much about her after her pirate career. So, I only left 2 things out of this particular story, because you all know how to ask questions by now if you spent this much time with me and made it this far. So I left out the name of Ann Bonnie's parents on purpose, and I do know those. So if you want to ask her what her parents' names were, we've gotten those answers commonly in the past. The name of Calico Jack's ship is another question that we've been getting more and more lately. But other questions you can ask, it's up to you. This is fair game. This is not a prominent English woman where what'd you get?
Prove it.
You can also ask, like, the city in Ireland where she came from. Like, we've gotten that answer. What color her hair is. That's a red. I'll give that one to you. As far as EMF goes for you, Miss Bella, anything in the front half of this lot, kind of where we started over there, I don't get excited about, because we do have 2 electrical poles, and there's parking meters on the other side of the bushes. So just let me know, basically, if you're getting 2.5 and higher from, like, that second tree back. Only because, again, I'm not too excited about the ones in the front. I think that about covers all of the pirate stuff. I mean, you guys know what you're doing. Have you guys heard anything? I know you've been listening to me the whole time, but you've also had other things.
Yeah, I've had this in, but when you said we don't know what happened to the baby, I heard died.
So that's unfortunate at this point, because I can't prove it. But,
Right,
I mean, if you guys want to ask even more questions to try to poke that bear a little bit, by all means. This is a pirate girl. Like, she's ready for you. Again, this is one of those spaces where we may get something, we may not get anything. Again, Picnic Mansion site is pretty common where it's a nightly basis. This one is not. So, let's have some fun. Let's scatter about. Let's see if we can get some footage. Keep away from the cars. We got
I
it.
need to
Perfect.
stay close to you. You lead. I'll follow.
Okay, set the video. This location would then be on with yours.
Jack.
So with your camera, Gigi, in this location, the best orb I've ever had has come out of this location.
Okay.
It was by that wall over there, and when I say it's bigger than my head, it was moving towards me. I didn't see it in real time. I caught it on the camera. It stopped and saw me, twisted, and went upwards, and then disappeared. I mean, it was larger than my head. I mean, it was probably this big if we really had to compare.
So I have a question for you. When we were in Eliza's area,
Yes.
I was showing Renee this. I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to really be looking for. If it's supposed to be moving, or if it looked like 2 little boys. One was holding like a scythe, like you would cut corn down with.
Okay.
And the other little boy was sitting to his. It looked like he was right to his right. And so I was going to ask you if she had 2 boys, but
She had 3.
I know that you said 3. So, but these were 2 little boys.
And you saw that through the camera, or?
Yeah,
No,
it's
on
going to
there.
be on the camera.
It was what we were looking at.
Yeah,
Interesting.
camera.
But all
And you-
3 of us just now, that lady over there, all 3 of us just like very clearly heard Jack.
Jack.
Like
Yeah.
right when I stepped this way. It went just like. Did you hear that?
Well played.
Yeah. So how that sounded was how it sounded in the when we were walking.
That little bit of a whisper.
And I couldn't understand what she said.
So when I get called to other teams, it's because of my expertise with all these spirit boxes. So they normally want that listening skill for me to come in and help them out, or reanalyze something, or no matter what speed it's on, because most investigative teams go to the fastest speed, so that way it's more white noise, but it is way more accurate. So it's
Right.
probably closer to that 80 to 90% accuracy. So when I do find something and then I do the research on it, because I don't want to know the history of a space, I do the exact opposite of what we're doing here. I want to just go in knowing there's some kind of raised emotion. So if there was a death, a wedding, it doesn't matter to me whether it's happy, sad, or indifferent. But again, I do the go through the media first, and then I do the research when I do an investigation. So that way I'm not biased to listen for the name Jack or things like that. But again, you didn't know Jack was coming. You were probably waiting, you know, for the
Well,
name.
yeah, because all three of us were just standing there, and we all looked at each other like, what? Because it was clear.
Yeah, and again, this is a nightly thing for me, you know. And kudos to Lori for, you know, kind of questioning me on like, why would they even bother talking to you?
Yeah.
I don't have that answer.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
But she gets a lot of talking to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, when I see it nightly, I can't make it up. I mean, that RI was
She
perfect
must really
timing.
be in tune with what
Yeah.
she's doing.
Shana's doing actually really well with her spirit box too. Like she picked up on that really good. Shannon, what else you got?
I asked her, I said, did you love any of the men or women in your life? And she said no.
Well,
And
that's a
I
yes,
said,
no
did you just use them as pawns in your game or what? And she said, adults.
They made their own decisions.
That's right. And I said something about her father, and she said it was his money.
Oh, wow. That's amazing, Shana.
All right, that's all real time.
You got some good
It's
answers.
really good stuff for you.
To me, it's those whisper ones that are more real.
Yeah.
So will we get disembodied?
I don't have very good hearing to hear.
Well, don't feel them either.
There's ways to do that.
But there's certain things that he hears day after day after day.
Double would be relevant to the control with the double alike at the same time. So again, that's the double. Do I have the other two to verify that? No, but it gives me an opportunity to do the link. So that's where I put Elijah Woods, Charles at time of marriage, and then there's a link that shows you how I
Yeah, so all around it, there's a museum. But this one was one.
I heard yellow and help.
Yellow and help. What was that
What's your name? That's from the radio.
one?
over there by that wall?
Mm-mm.
That's where you saw that ghost. It's not very pretty, but
I know, but still.
the oldest building in Charleston. Did you say this is the oldest building in Charleston?
Still standing, yeah. It's the oldest government building.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is, the oldest government building.
What's your name?
Yeah, 'cause there's old buildings older than it, but that's the oldest government.
The oldest government building. Yellow and health.
Try not to mess up the lady's hair. There you go.
Oh, right.
Also keep in mind when you guys do come out of this, do not get up right away. You may be a little disoriented because we're taking away some of your senses.
Then earbuds.
Yep, then noise canceling headphones. Shana, I'm going to hand yours to you. I already took them. Please do not touch your volume once you guys get yourself comfortably set with the volume that you're comfortable with.
Oh, and so you just want us to say what we hear.
Say whatever you hear. And it starts right away. Noise canceling headphones over top of those. This is the only thing I time of our entire night. It'll be about 10:50 once Laura gets herself situated on there.
Okay, I should have looked at this before we did that.
There you go. You got it.
They come down or something.
Uh-huh. I know, that's why I told them to play with them ahead of time because they're still new. They're a little tight. Okay. So it is 10:50. It usually takes about 30 seconds or so for them to get acclimated. Gigi's recording, which is good. Let's huddle in a little closer if you guys don't mind. So Henry Timrod, we're actually sitting in a different location tonight.
Are you looking?
Yes, we are looking and listening. Two young ladies that are sitting here on this bench can hear you through the red boxes sitting next to them. So hopefully you can give us some messages to some questions. So Henry, let's start off. Start off by telling us what your occupation was, please.
The medium cannot be heard.
That's interesting. Henry Timrod, please tell us what your occupation was. We're going to start off nice and slow tonight.
27, a promo code.
Henry Timrod, please tell us what your occupation was. I also keep an eye on their breathing. If I see like they're breathing a little quicker or heavier, I will tap them out.
This is it.
She's doing really well with this. Does Mom realize she's supposed to be telling us what she's supposed to be hearing?
Kansas.
Kansas.
Complimentary consultation.
Consultation. Henry Timrod, please tell us what your occupation is. As good as she was doing all night long, she's not telling us anything, is she? Let's go ahead and tap her out so we can tell her.
Imagine if you were a paralegal.
Yes. No, Bella, this is like, you gotta play rocker.
Stay.
Stay. Tell us what you're hearing. Like in real time. Yeah.
Real time.
Real time.
I heard the word hide. It's happening. The doctor.
EESS.
EESS.
Henry Timrod, there's a lot of noise around us tonight. Can you please tell us what your occupation was? I want to make sure you're here before we really get started. Any letters?
You will never see it.
Henry, you've been very respectful these past few nights.
I've committed it.
Let's go straight into your son. Tell us something specific about your son, please.
Public.
What do you want to tell us about your son?
Jackson.
That's relevant. Somebody remember Jackson. Mike, just so you know, that camera's going to be sideways. So if you want to stop it and make sure the camera's on your left when you're recording. Jackson's actually relevant. Andrew Jackson's mother's memorial is right over there.
An
That's where that
angel.
stone is. So you might not have Henry Timrod here tonight.
It was a gun.
Who do we have here with us if it's not Henry Timrod? Who is actually here trying to talk to us?
Listen.
I am listening. You need to tell us what your name
It's
is.
a surprise.
Please. It's a surprise. I kind of like that answer.
B-A-B-E.
Hearing a lot of letters. Oh, she heard a commercial for Babbel. That's what it was. That's common.
She said doctor earlier.
She did, and we are near the
Cuba.
doctor's old house. She just say Cuba?
Yeah. She said paralegal earlier.
Experience.
I want to know exactly who's here. Because if I have not been talking to Henry Timrod, I would like to know that, please.
It's just a man
59.
laughing madly.
59. Did you guys hear that?
79.
59 is the address of that house that we talked
Name
about
the
earlier.
cause.
So is Dr. Ladd here with us? Can we get a
No.
yes? Then who do we have here with us? We need a name.
Escape.
Who else is here with us? Is this Henry Timrod? Is Henry Timrod here with us tonight?
Samuel passed it.
I don't know who that is. Five minutes.
She was 16.
That's a pretty specific age.
She
I'm
was
talking.
shy.
I'm talking to
She
Nick.
was shy. She was 16.
Talking to
There is a
Nick.
big age gap between Henry and his wife Katie, just so you guys know. So I'll be definitely looking at the time of her age. Can you tell us
It's a girl.
who was shy and who was 16? What was
She
the
said
young?
it's a girl.
What was the young lady's name?
I could see my shade.
What was this young lady's name that was 16 and shy?
Very good straight season.
Glad we actually added her to the mix. Like she's doing
He
really
never
well.
grew up.
Shame.
Shame. What's the shame?
You're surrounded. That number,
Thomas.
that's the way it goes.
The house at 59 Church Street, we call it the Thomas Rose house. The word rose is usually what pops up, or the word flower.
Anna. Whoa.
I think he wants to use your camera. I don't know who Anna is.
That's Anna again.
The pirate.
She would have a tie to this location.
She lives over there.
What was your wife's
He would
name?
announce the good news.
What was your wife's name? Thank you, girls.
Is there no love?
4362.
I got nothing on any of this.
Billy?
His son's name was Willie.
Oh, I hit it
It's a close, but I mean, damn, that's close for them not knowing anything.
by searching Kansas.
Yeah. Henry, tell us what you're hearing right now.
327.
Please pay attention to this. We've had the word bell show up when that's been going off. Henry, what did we just hear from the church?
Walked in.
What did we just hear from the church? What sound did it make?
It was the law.
What's the sound we're hearing right now?
Huh? This is
I
just
hear bells ringing.
Bells ringing.
He was kind.
Thank you for that, whoever is here. Is this Henry Timrod?
Too much information.
Oh, I don't know
Am I
this
asking,
song.
am I prying a little too much?
884.
Definitely help.
What do you need help with? I'm
It
not
was
any
a
kind of
family-
preacher or anything like that to help anything. We're here to learn.
There's a storm a coming.
Thomas.
Thomas again. What was 59 Church Street? What do we call it now? Thomas what?
This explicit address.
Explicit address.
Oh, salt and pepper.
We only got about a minute left. Tell us the last name of Thomas for 59 Church Street. What do we call it
2
now?
p.m. Eastern time.
The Thomas what house?
That's not the way I saw it.
May not back then, but
Every breath you take.
we call it something different now. What do we call it now?
Charles.
Podcasting. Oh. This is the time of your life.
You got one last chance before I tap these folks out. They won't be able to hear you anymore.
I want to dance with somebody.
One more answer. What was the last?
Ian.
Okay,
Tell Ian.
let's tap our family members out, guys. Go ahead and tap Mama.
Don't want to play.
Wow.
Take it off.
Do you want me to turn this off?
Yeah, go ahead.